what you have there so well, very interesting. But why do you speak like American? You know what I mean? Even until now, he can't erase my American accent and so on. So all I'm saying is, once you reverse these terms and begin to notice a lot of these people sitting in this room have American elements in it, inside our subjectivity, right? Not only people sitting in this room, but half century going through. Some people use the term Americanization. In Japan has a term called Americanism, right? So in other words, I don't want to say complicity, but our own subjectivity infiltrated by things American or the identification with it. So it becomes non-problematic in the sense that when we critique US imperialism, as it has nothing to do with ourselves, right? So this is part, I think Oscar knows, this story the best, because a lot of these things going on earlier, very much early on in the Philippines with sort of self-critique. And in the sense, not simply this identification, that's too simple, right? So once you begin to notice that, then things also get shifted. Let me take the term American study. This is the real institution here, right? So what American study in Asia, what is the task? But I don't know whether it's being done, but I haven't seen it, which by definition would take on the issue of Americanism in Taiwan as the object of study, right? Rather than as the outside. Right? Or as to study the diplomatic relations between Taiwan and US and so on. So in that sense, the problematic will shift. Let me cite another example to be in dialogue with Hyungji. Right? I mean, I haven't seen too much. My friend, I have lots of Korean friends, perhaps in American study, takes on the American military-based issue in Seoul, which is at the center of Seoul, means at the center of subjectivity of Korean, right? That sort of issue. I think unless that self-critique and self-analysis can be done, no configuring a new intellect, to use Kanzi's term, new international alliance is possible, right? So in that sense, the location has everything to do with the community, with the subjectivity generated, rather than simply, I see no problem, for instance, in the beginning of cultural study, the same problem. You participate in the project in England or in the US, that's okay. But then there's something else you need to ground yourself, right? Especially with cultural study, with the issue of specificity. So let me, especially a lot of this subjectivity issues and identification with the US, over the past 50 years has become, let me use the term, volunteered. I don't have a better term, right? And people get angry if you say for the past, half century, places like Taiwan and Korea have become US sub-colony. People get angry, right? But there's certain truth to it. And how do we, in that sense, I think I am doing American study, right? To analyze how do we deal with this, issue with no solution, of course, but how things are formed, has been formed. So let me mediate through a very concrete instance, because I don't like to talk about things abstract, to indicate what I mean, which is has been already mentioned by Candice and Oscar, Okinawa, next door to us. My Taiwanese colleagues and friends, please raise your hand if you have been to Okinawa, please. a public forum by activists and critical intellectuals in Okinawa to regionalize Okinawa issue, military base. I think some of you may have read newspaper, right? Yoneyama resigned, right? The prime minister resigned because of the base issue. His election campaign promised to remove the base from Okinawa, but then eventually he had to give in, right? And he lost it. And eventually he was forced by his conscience, I guess, or by his political party to push him out. Now, Okinawa is a long-term issue. And Lisa put on the table because Okinawa, the military base is still there, indicating that Cold War is never finished in this part of the world, right? The same thing with North and South Korea or the Taiwan Strait. It's the pre-war, legacy onto the post-war. To use my own term, Cold War mediates the colonial moment, with the neo-colonial post-war moments. So Okinawa is one of the crystallized the entire historical structure, not to mention 1879, right? Annexed by the Japanese Empire and so on. But it was occupied since the end of the Second World War II by U.S. military. Until 1972, I guess I'm giving a very quick countdown. Until 1972 is a military government. And we living by the Okinawa, only several hours, actually 1 hour away, without taking note of that. And Okinawan, you go there, I hate this, but this time I found out our Taiwan independence friend went there, checked with them, and feel very grateful. The military base was there, still there. You know what I mean? Because people there want to remove the military base. So even the knowledge, without any knowledge, this anti-base movement has been going on for, 60 years, right? So in other words, there is no understanding of knowledge of our neighbor. This is a part of the structure, right? And without the knowledge and understanding, this is a U.S. dictatorship, military dictatorship, governing the island until 1972, and afterwards overtaken by the agreement between Japanese. This is Ample Treaty. Some of you know that. Japanese government and U.S. So the military government moved behind the scene, come forward to the scene, Japanese government, with the U.S. behind them, right? So this is Yoneyama trying to claim certain equivalent relation with the U.S., right? Failed. But this is the entire post-war history of Japan, right? And